Live the Goals podcast, episode number 238.
Live the Goals podcast, your place for motivation, life lessons, and laughter. Don't settle for wandering through a mundane life. Instead, let us help you reach your goals and live a fulfilling life doing what you love. Our guests know what it's like to live with purpose and laugh along the way. Warning, if you're a stick in the mud, you definitely need to stick around. Loosen up your ties, kick off your high heels, and let's get to it with your host, Dale Richardson.
Okay, friends and family, here with another great episode of Live the Goals podcast, an interview episode. And today we have Lashana N Williams, the Success Navigator, and she's the CEO of Women's Journey to Success LLC. And she's a certified career and life coach whose personal mission is to motivate, inspire, and empower women to uncover their life's purpose and achieve their personal and professional best. Fueled by that personal mission, she is committed to helping you discover the career that is aligned with your purpose and passions. Lashana, are you ready to help us set and reach goals that matter?
Yes, I am.
Let's
do
this. I am awesome. We're kind of laughing a little bit because I completely messed up when we first started this and had to do a retake. So we are off and running. Lashana, I gave everybody kind of the formal little intro of who you are, but I'd love to know maybe a bigger picture of who is Lashana.
So Lashana is, right now, I can coin myself as a parallelpreneur. What that means is that I have a full-time job and I also own and operate a business. So by day, I am a finance executive, and in the evening, 6 to whatever time I go to bed, I am working on my coaching practice and an author, and I'm also getting into production and a little bit of publishing. So I'm getting into a lot of different things right now, but there's a lot going on, but I love it because I'm living my purpose and my passion. I'm also an author. I've written a book called The Stranger Within, One Woman's Journey to Self-Love, which is my personal memoir about my journey to self-love and how I was once depressed and wanted to commit suicide. But then through my journey, I found the love within. So you should pick up that book as well. So that's me in a nutshell. Parallelpreneur, business owner, author, career coach, finance executive, all of those things.
A lot going on, a lot. And friends and family, you know this. You've heard so many people on here on Live the Goals podcast. And you know that sometimes you start off as a parallelpreneur. Sometimes people like being a parallelpreneur throughout the extent of what they're doing. And so we've got all these different types of avenues you can take. It's about finding what's right for you and going in that direction. So thank you for sharing that. And friends and family, y'all know that at the end, I'll tell you again, but we'll have links to her book so that you can make sure you can check that out, as well as anything else we mentioned during the podcast. But Lashana, I always start my podcast with asking my guest to share something that made them laugh recently. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, but I just want people to remember that we got to laugh, right? I mean, whether it's just something funny that happens or sometimes you kind of have to stop and just, you can't do anything but laugh, right? Because life will throw curveballs at you. So I'd love for you to share something like that.
I hope I could give it enough justice. So every Tuesday, my girlfriends and I, because we're doing a web series. So we're going to do a YouTube series, actually. And so we meet every Tuesday to talk about production, and we're also going to write an anthology. So we're doing all of these things. But there's 6 of us on this Google. Now, we're not technically savvy. We're trying to do all these things. So you got 6 women at 10 o'clock at night. You got babies in the background, hair bonnets on, the whole thing, right? So it's really a mess, and we always are laughing and having a good time. But now we've done this walk challenge. So we're doing a walk challenge. So every week we got to check in to see how many steps did we get. So the last time, one of the girls got up to 10,000 steps or whatever. So she comes on the Google Hangout with a crown because she won and she got her 10,000 steps or whatever. So we are cracking up. But those are the things that I love because we just have a good time, although we're working. So like I said, I don't think I could do it justice. I wish I had the video for you guys. It was funny to watch a grown woman with a crown on her head, like a tiara on her head that she probably stole from one of her kids, talking about she got these 10,000 steps. So,
well, she got bragging rights for at least a week. So she if she wants to put a crown on, I guess she got to put a crown on. That's awesome. And I mean, it just really does speak to how you incorporate fun in whatever you do, because it's very easy to imagine you all being on this call at 10 p.m. and not being in the best mood in the world. Are y'all to the point where you can announce yet what the name of it is yet, or are y'all still kind of building on that?
No, it's called Shades Talks. So it's our Shade Sisters. So sisters having a dedicated effect on society. And so we're doing some things. Yeah. And we already have about 12 episodes in the can. So we will be launching that in the next month or so.
Oh, that's exciting. So friends and family, this will actually release before her episodes release, but make sure we'll see if there's a way you can link to that, or I'll send out a message to everybody. Lashana, if you'll let me know when that comes out, because I would love for us to support you on that.
Definitely. Thank you.
No problem. So let's get into purpose. We've already kind of touched on purpose, and you help people kind of take that purpose and incorporate that into what they're doing, their career. Mm-hmm. And so first I want to start with you. Like, how did you find your purpose?
So I didn't find it. I said I uncovered it, because it's not something that you find. You have your purpose, right? We're born with it. It's just us uncovering it.
I love that.
So I uncovered it years ago when I was frustrated that as an accountant, I wasn't a great accountant. I wasn't good at it. And I was like, God, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Am I just going to crunch numbers all my life? I was like, this cannot be. And so through a series of conversations and just digging and uncovering, I figured out that what I was doing, I was on a path to being a leader and to being a people leader. And part of that, I had to develop, guide, coach, and mentor people. And then I was already being a mentor to many people. Mm-hmm. And so from there, I just started doing informal mentorships. I started a mentor program, and I just kind of lived in that space. And then I figured it out. I was like, I am supposed to help people to feel like this. I'm supposed to help people to uncover their purpose so that they can live their best lives now. And so from there on, that just set the wheels in motion, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and I love the language you use, because a lot of people sometimes think they've got to do this big grand thing to find their purpose, right? And you're right. For many of us, not everybody, but for many of us, it's right there under our nose, right? Yes. We're already on that journey. Maybe you're working towards it, and some of these pieces you're picking up along the way, you start to see how that was preparing you for what you were meant to do. And so I love that phraseology of uncovering your purpose, because it's already there. Sometimes we're just not keyed into what that is. So thank you for sharing that. And speaking of purpose, I'd love to know, we kind of threw out some things about purpose being already there. Maybe one or two suggestions of what someone can do. If I come to you and I'm saying that, look, Lashana, I'm just clueless, right? I know that I'm supposed to be doing more than I'm doing. I go to work, I come home. I know there's more than this, but I have no clue what my purpose is. What's just one thing I might do to start figuring that out, or start uncovering what that is?
So one of the exercises that I have people do is to write down their ideal career or business. And I say, take away all the reality, take away all of the noise of, I got to pay bills, I got to do this, and write it down. And don't think about how crazy it is. Like, I want you to say, hey, I want to be on the beach with the waves sounding in my, put whatever it is. What do you ideally, where would you want to be? Right. And I would start there, because in there somewhere is the type of environment you want to be in. the type of space, the type of work, and then we'll start peeling it away from there, because within there is your passions. There's a whole lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Once you start thinking about what life could be like, because some of us, we don't think about that because we're so stuck in, this is my reality. I can't think about anything outside of this. And so we get stuck in the day-to-day, not thinking about what could be. So
right.
I kind of start there with some people, but another place I always start with too is to say, what did you like as a child? What did you like doing as a child? What did you like doing when you were a teenager? And what did you like doing in your 30s? And I bet you every time throughout your life, it was the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's why I love doing what we do, right? When we coach people, we can help them kind of rediscover that thing that they push to the side. So hearing your description, I know you've helped people do that, right? You ask them what they used to like when they were a teenager, and some of them, it's been so long, they stopped dreaming, they forgot about it.
Right.
And you kind of bring that back up because we do oftentimes scratch things off the list because of our reality. And I'm sure you know, and I'm sure you coach people to understand how we can get past that reality and get to some of those things. And then maybe have to dig. It may not be the same thing you wanted when you were a teenager. I interviewed somebody a couple of days ago, and I asked him when he realized what he wanted to do. And he was really, really young. So he talked about what he said when the teacher asked him what he wanted to do. But to give you an idea how old he was, he said one of the other kids said when they grew up, they wanted to be a fire truck. So, so that just lets you know that it may not be exactly what you wanted to do when you were a kid, but if you give somebody like Lashana, she can help you focus on finding what that is and maybe reigniting that passion towards what your purpose is. So thank you. We're going to transition. I'm doing this a little bit in a different order than I usually do. So I just want to jump in right away. People see you. I see all the great things you're doing. And I'm sure that people that you come across, they just see kind of what you put out there as your public image. The great thing about you is you have a book that talks about some of your obstacles that you've had to overcome. And so maybe a few people have read the book and they understand that you're not where you are today without having gone through some obstacles. So I'd love if you could just share a little bit more. Not too much, because I want people to go out and get the book and get the whole story, but share a little bit more about that obstacle and how, looking back, you needed that to get to where you are, or maybe some of what you learned through that situation to get to where you are.
Okay. So for many years, I wore masks to hide who I was as a person. I didn't know who I was because I tried to be everything to everybody. So when I was in college, I tried to be the home girl, the party girl, whatever. When I was around people that, were partying or hanging out, I tried to be that girl. So I tried to be and fit into any mold that people wanted me to be in. And after a while, it became to where I didn't even know myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was supposed to do or how I was supposed to act. And that became frustrating, and it became sad, and it's this dark place for me. And after a while, I noticed that even though I was succeeding in my career and I was living what people would deem as the best life, I still was unhappy. And I was like, this can't be, because I'm not happy. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do anything. I'm not happy. And once it got too dark for me, I was in such a dark place to where I was like, what if I just went to sleep and just stayed there forever? I was like, I need to get help.
Yeah.
So if I didn't go through that journey, I wouldn't be here today to speak on this podcast to tell people about living their purpose. So I had to go through that to get to where I am today. But it was by no means a weak journey. It was a 3-year kind of doing the work and digging into some past hurts and digging into a lot of stuff that I kind of put down deep into my subliminal so that I can be the person and the woman that God purposed me to be.
Yeah. What are some of the things you learned about yourself coming out of that? As you were on the tail end of that and you were becoming this person that you are now, What are some of the things you learned about yourself?
So I learned that I learned to actually appreciate the woman that all my quirkiness, all my flaws and everything else. I learned to appreciate that. At one point I thought, because I like to go home and do takeout and watch movies on a Friday night, that something was wrong with me. But now I know I'm an introvert.
It's all good, right?
Okay, so who needs to recharge? I like watching movies and I like being in my house.
Yeah.
So I learned to love those things, my quirkiness about me. And I've just learned about who Lashana really is. And I also was able to acknowledge and celebrate myself. That was another thing that I didn't do a lot of. I just went through everything and did not pat myself on the back for getting out of the ghetto or graduating, doing all of this stuff. So I learned to celebrate myself.
Yeah. So what is a suggestion for an extrovert who is dating an introvert? So you want to be chilling on a Friday night. Extrovert might want to go out and party. What's a suggestion?
Compromise, because the introvert needs to get out too.
Yeah.
And the extrovert needs to stay home sometimes as well.
Get out the streets every once in a while, right?
Right. So I would say compromise, right? So, because every day you don't want to stay in the house, but I know for an introvert, if there's a weekend and we're out 3 days, that whole weekend, I think that would be a little too much. So compromise, just a little.
Thank you. I told you these interviews go wherever they're gonna be. Oh wow. So
I hope that helps.
Yeah, that is great, because I know that people are faced with that, right? I mean, it's easy if two introverts are together. It's easy if two extroverts are together. But sometimes you might have an introvert and an extrovert, and so seeing that you have done that discovery, you're comfortable with who you are. I thought it'd be a great question to ask you. How somebody who's not like you could compromise and find the right balance.
Yep.
So Lashana, this is Live the Goals podcast. So of course I'm going to talk about goals. It's important to me that people are not just kind of chasing some goal, but that they're kind of living it during their life. I don't want you to have what they call destination envy, where all you're worried about is getting to the end and you forget to live and enjoy your life. And like you said, celebrate some of the successes along the way. But I do want to help people learn how to reach those goals and give them some tools. So I'd love if you could give us a tool or a strategy that you use, or maybe that you teach your clients about to help them get closer to their goals.
So there's a couple of tools, but one, I have like a methodology to achieving goals. Because we all know you're supposed to be SMART goals and all of this stuff that they tell us in corporate America or what have you. But they don't talk about how you need to have a vision first, right? Like, you need to know where you want to go before you can sit down and say, I want to do this, I want to do that. We have these task lists, but we don't know where we want to go. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Really getting granular with where your destination is. Yeah. And then I tell people to jot down their mission. So now that I know where I want to go, I need to know for here and now, what does that look like? So for me, my vision for my life is to motivate and inspire women to be their best selves. But how do I do that? So I do that through books. I do that through coaching. I do that through whatever. So now that I know how I'm going to do it and I know where I want to go, I can now start writing down, okay, to write that book, I need to do X, Y, and Z. To coach, I need to do these things. So now I have this list of things that I want to do, right? After I write that list, then I need an action plan, because those are just lists. That's just tasks. Yeah. And they're daunting sometimes. And we look at them and we're like, I don't want to do any of this. Because I know. But if you break it down in small pieces and you talk about the deadlines, you talk about the obstacles and the resources that you need, some of them become palatable. And as much as they become palatable, you can check them off, then you can achieve your goals rather than just having this task list, which a lot of us have. I have lists all over the place. And unless I make them actionable, then they won't come to fruition. And then the last step that I tell people is have an accountability partner. You need to have an accountability partner. a must. And however that looks, like for me, I do a combination of telling people that I know that will hold me accountable, and also Facebook. So if I told you I'm gonna write a book on Facebook and I said it's gonna be out there in 2 days, I don't want anybody going, what happened to that book? So I know I'm going to write it.
Yeah.
So I use social media for me as an accountability partner.
Yeah, and that works for a lot of people, right? You kind of put it out there that you don't want to let yourself down, or you don't want people to have an extra excuse never to believe you. So you get it done. You need those deadlines, and you're so right. Accountability partners or coaches that can serve as accountability coaches, they do something, because there have been times where I set a goal for myself and I created that action plan, and there's something that needs to get done this week. I'm human just like everybody else, and it will sit there. And my meeting with my accountability group is on Monday night, and Sunday I am working frantically to make sure it gets done. It's something about having to have somebody that is going to look at you and say, what happened? Why isn't it done? And having to live with yourself and say, I didn't get it done, or making sure you don't say that. And another thing, friends and family, I want to point out, I love that you start with someone's vision, right? The goals don't really mean anything if you don't know where you're headed with them. Lashana, have you ever been coaching somebody and had them tell you what their goals were, and then you find out what their kind of vision is and mission is, and thought to yourself, like, those don't match, like those don't go together?
Yes, I have. And that's why I was like, okay, wait, stop. We got to go with the vision. And this is why I teach this, or I go through this in more depth and more detail at the summit. I'm having a Paycheck to Purpose Summit, March 3rd and 4th, just coming up in Atlanta and Midtown. And I go through goal setting to help people reach their destination, to help them reach the desired level of success. And I go through the vision and the mission and all of that stuff, so that they walk out with an action plan so that they can do what they set out to do. But I've had people come to me and have these long, lengthy goals, and I'm like, so what do you really want to do? And they're like, oh, I want to teach. And I'm like, but your goals say that you want to write you want to dance.
Right.
So which one, right? which one is it?
Right.
And after working it through with them, then then they come to the realization that they were setting goals just because, just life. They didn't even think of where they wanted to go or what they wanted to do with that. So that's why I start with the vision. Yeah.
Awesome. And so you have been sharing with us throughout this podcast for pouring into us about purpose and passion and goals. And we were in touch, and I kind of stopped and said, hold on, wait, I know you've got this summit coming up. I know how fantastic you are. People need to hear about this. And so that's a big part of why we scheduled this. And we haven't really talked about it yet until just now. So I would love for you to tell my friends and family that are either in Atlanta or can get to Atlanta on March 3rd. On I believe that's a Friday, right? Friday, March 3rd?
Yes, it is.
I would love for you to tell them why they should be there.
So the whole premise, if you just hear the name, is Paycheck to Purpose. So my mission is to help people that are just going into work and collecting a check and like, oh, what was me? And my best life is going to happen when I retire. Get out of that mindset. I want people to live their best life now, to actually live on purpose now. So we're going from paycheck to purpose. And you can get paid or make a profit doing what you love to do. And that's what I want to see people do. I want to see people, every day should be a Friday for people. You hear some people on the elevator, I know when I go to work, and they're like, I'm like, how you doing? It's 7 o'clock in the morning. They're like, girl, waiting for Friday. I'm like, well, it's 7 o'clock in the morning and you're waiting for Friday. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want every day to be Friday for people. And so this is my second annual Paycheck to Purpose Summit. And so this time I was like, you know what? I want to really pour into the parallelpreneurs who have worked in corporate America for years, but they want to launch a business and they want to do their thing, but they don't know how. Or they're starting, but they don't know how to grow.
Right.
So the summit includes a person that's going to teach us how to do the sales technique, because I know that's hard for a lot of us. We're like, I don't know how to sell. I don't know. I hate sales. But we're going to, it's all about selling to make millions, right? So we're going to learn those techniques. Also have somebody who is going to teach us how to make money doing videos or, live streaming, because that's a big thing right now. And people are killing it out there on live stream. And you could be in your pajamas, okay? Making money live streaming. So we're going to have that as well. And then I have a good friend of mine who's coming on, and they're going to talk about finances. So whether it's your personal finances or whether your business finances, how do you create that legacy for yourself, right? So many of us, I want to pass things down to the next generation and the next generation, but how do we do that? So we're going to learn about that financial part of it. We're also going to have a little piece of the wellness part, because some of us, we are running on fumes. We are working, and don't realize that if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot fulfill our purpose if we are tired, depressed, and just worn out. So we're going to have a little piece of that. And then, of course, at the end of all of this, the culmination of the summit is goal setting and the action plan. So we're going to take you from idea to implementation. So yes, it is jam-packed.
It sounds like it's jam-packed. I've seen some of your posts, so I know you got some great people that are helping you with it, and I know how much people are going to get from it. So I know it's going to be a success. Friends and family, if you're able to make it there, please do. You're not going to regret going to it. I can tell you that up front, because I know Lashana, and I know how much she cares about what she's doing, and that in itself already is putting it on the right path. And then, we're not talking about just random people, right? We're talking about people that know what they're talking about. And so I'm glad that we are able to have this and get this posted and published in time that some of my listeners might have the chance to be able to go as well. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm hoping you have a fantastic event. And friends and family, go check it out. I'll have links to that website. Just in case people are listening, what's the website for them to go to find out more about that, Lashana?
So it's paychecktopurpose.me.
Okay, paychecktopurpose.me. And again, I'll have links at the on my show notes page. So, Lashana, thank you. This has been awesome. We are kind of wrapping up now, and there's a few things I always do before I wrap up a show.
Okay.
And the first one is the hot seat scenario. So are you ready to play the hot seat scenario with me?
That sounds real scary. I don't know about it. Yes, I am.
Okay. So here we go. You're going to have to choose one of these two people. And this is perfect. You probably will run into this at your summit, right? So you're going to have to choose between one of these two people. Person A is somebody who's working, let's say 40 to 50 hours a week, and just kind of goes to work, comes home, and needs some time to unwind. So she spends 2 to 3 hours just watching TV, maybe surfing the internet, on Facebook, whatever it may be, just to wind down, and then goes to sleep. Person B is somebody who, and person A is also living check to check, okay? Person B is somebody who is doing well financially, whatever that number might be, whether it's 100,000, 2, or whatever, but has no time. Really, really is feeling like she's waking up in the morning, going to work, giving it all at work, and then coming home and having to sleep and start over again. Neither one of them feel like they're headed towards their purpose or their passion. And so I'd love to know from you, which one are you going to swap lives with, and what are the first couple steps you're going to do to go from where you are right then to someone who's headed towards your purpose?
Good question. And I'm going to take the latter.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, there's no salary range or what have you, but because she has the financial means, she's able to outsource. So, and she's able to do some things that probably the first person wouldn't be able to afford. Not to say it's impossible over there, but just they're allowed to do some things that come with having some financial means.
Right.
So I would swap lives with that person, take the time, and it may be on my company's dime, to actually take the time to uncover this stuff, because it doesn't mean that you have to go to a 5-day seminar to uncover your purpose. It's just something that you need to be cognizant of, and also just kind of doing that self-assessment. And so I learned about myself through self-assessments that my company paid for. Okay.
Yeah.
And working through business resource groups that my company sponsored. So there's things that you could do even though she's working really hard. Yeah. So I would say, because she has the financial means, she could outsource, use Upwork, get a virtual assistant to do certain things, pay somebody to do a website, do webinars in her pajamas. Like, there are certain things that she could do, even though she's working like that, and just making small, minor steps towards her purpose.
Yeah, and I love that you said maybe there are resources at your job that you can use, right? I love this phrase I've heard. I don't know who said it, but who said it first, but there's never a lack of resources, just a lack of resourcefulness. And so not only just for the person you chose, but even for the person who's living check to check, right? It may take you longer because you can't outsource some of that stuff, but the resources are there somewhere. It's just, how resourceful are you to locate and take advantage of those resources? So thank you for playing along. I know I put people on the spot sometimes, but I love getting different answers, because I was nervous when I first made this hot seat scenario, because I didn't know if I was going to get the same answer over and over again, but I have gotten so many different answers, and I know your answer is speaking to somebody who's listening. So thanks. I appreciate you sharing that. And now we're going to wrap up. We are at the end. I just need 2 more things from you. We are at this point where I ask my guests to give us just something you use to give yourself a little whether it's a phrase or a mantra or a quote or something you say to yourself. I'd love for you to share that with us. And then after you do that, you can go right into giving us your contact information, where people can reach out to you or where they can maybe learn more about you. And so your quote or mantra, and then your contact information, and we'll close out the show.
Okay. So I've been using Let's Make It Happen. So everything about me is like, let's make it happen. So what that is I'm tired of talking about a darn thing. I'm ready to make it happen. So in everything that I say to people, I'm like, so let's make it happen. So
I love that. I love that. Take action, right? Like, we're talking about it, but let's do this. Let's make it happen.
Right. So whatever we need to do to make it happen. So that's what I tell people. And one of the places that I do a lot of this is in my Facebook group on Facebook. It's called Paycheck to Purpose. And you can find me there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook at Lashana N Williams, and on Instagram at Lashana Coaches. I'm on Twitter at Lashana Coaches. And you can go to my website at LashanaCoaches.com. Lashana does a lot of coaches.
Lashana definitely coaches. We'll have links to all of that on our show notes page, friends and family. And Lashana, thank you again. You're spending your Friday evening that you could be relaxing and watching your movie doing this interview. So I appreciate you cutting into your me time to spend it with my friends and family. And again, I just want to say before we left, I love the Let's Make It Happen, because not only is that talking about action, but I kind of heard what we just talked about in there as well, like resourcefulness. Like, we'll figure out a way to do this. Let's just go ahead and make this happen. So that's something I might use a little bit here in the next few weeks as well. So I'm going to steal that from you for a little bit.
Just as long as you give me some credits every now and then.
Put a dime in the jar every time I say it. All right, friends and family, thank you so much for being here. As you know, you can get all the links to everything we talked about here on the show notes page. All you have to do is go to livethegoals.com and type Lashana in the search box, and her show notes will come right on up. And as you all know, I will figure out a better way to do this as I get further into doing these videos, but I'm going to tell you who our sponsor is, who is bringing the show to you. So Audible is who this show is brought to you by. And you can go to livethegoals.com/Audible to try them out for free for 30 days, as well as get a free audiobook. I love Audible to death. I've been a member with them for a while. It's a great way to listen to books and get some of that knowledge and go to what I call Automobile University, where I drive around and learn all types of stuff and listen to audiobooks. So friends and family, thank you for joining us. Lashana, thanks again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Friends and family, remember to set goals that matter and live the goals you set.
Thanks for checking out the show today, and make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We hope you take away something that helps fill your life with purpose and laughter. And make sure you head over to livethegoals.com for more info on guests and resources. Remember to set and reach goals that lead you to a life of purpose and passion.